Hello, I am Flash Isaac. Today, I shall be taking you through JAMB Mathematics Likely Questions and Answers, Part 2. I recently released Part 1 of the video and I will share a link to that video so you don't miss out anything. And after the release of Part 1, I have been releasing series of mathematics videos. So, I will share a link to my mathematics playlist so you check out all my maths videos. Then, feel free to explore the channel for other subjects and topics. In this class, I shall be making use of the Flash Learners JAMB CBT application. The Flash Learners JAMB CBT app is the best and most advanced application to pass JAMB. You have access to all your subjects. You can choose topics, calculator, novels. You can even watch my videos directly from the app. So, rush to Google Play Store to install your own Flash Learners JAMB app or visit flashlearners.com to get one for yourself. And I will as well share a link to the app in the description below. So, I promise to make this class as simple as possible and as detailed as possible. Find the equation of a line parallel to y is equals minus 4x plus 2 passing through 2, 3. This is simply under coordinate geometry. And coordinate geometry is one interesting topic in mathematics. It says find the equation of line parallel. Look at it, parallel. Parallel is the key word here. Looking for equations of line can be parallel or perpendicular. Perpendicular lines are also referred to as orthogonal lines. So you can say orthogonality or perpendicularity. Now, what does it mean for lines to be parallel? And what does it mean for equations of line to be perpendicular? It depends on the gradient. Given any line, the gradient is simply dy ds. Remember, differentiation speaks about gradient. In fact, if you are plotting graph in your physics lab, you will be asked to look for the gradient, which is also called slope. And slope is simply y2 minus y1 over s2 minus s1. So gradient is m is equals y2 minus y1 over s2 minus s1. Now, for equations of lines to be parallel or perpendicular, it simply means we have two different equations, right? So perpendicular, parallel. If equations of line are perpendicular, it means the product of the two gradients is equals minus 1. It means that m1, m2 is equals minus 1. So if you multiply the gradient or the slope of the first one by the slope of the second one, you should get minus 1. If the lines are parallel, it simply means that m1 is equals m2. What does it mean? The gradient or their slopes are equal. You don't need to find the slope of the second one. This one says the equations of line is parallel, so m1 is equals m2. Don't worry, this will begin to make sense to you later. Look at something. We are given the equation of line. It is parallel to this line. Y is equals minus 4s plus 2 through the through 2, 3. So these are the coordinates. In coordinate geometry, if I give you something like this, 2, 3 minus 1, 2. Let's it like this, separated this and this. This is simply s1, this is y1. This is s2, this is y2. Meaning, if you are looking for the gradient of this line, you simply say y2, 2 minus y1, 3 over s2 minus 1 minus s1, 2, which is minus 1 over minus 3, which is 1 over 3. That is the slope of this line. That is what is implied in coordinate geometry. So given here, this is simply s1, this is y1. What do we do? Since for parallelism, the gradients are the same, let us find the gradient of this line. So it will still be the same as the gradient of the other line. So look at something. From this, y is equals ms plus c. You can use this to find gradients, or equation of line is y minus y1 is equals m s minus s1. So these are the formulas you need for equations of line. All these should do. What is this? M is gradient, C is intercept. So from here, look at it. Y is equals minus 4s plus 2, right? Comparing it to this equation of line, you simply have y is equals ms plus c. So from this is simply this, and this is simply this. Therefore, m is equals minus 4 and c is equals 2. So the gradient of this line is minus 4. This implies that the gradient of the second line would also be minus 4. Since in parallel lines, their gradients are the same. Now we have this gradient, so we can apply it for the other line. So how do we now get the complete equation of line? You simply use this formula. Y minus y1 is equals m s minus s1. So let's do that. Y minus, what is y1? 3. 3 is equals m. What is m? Gradient. So the gradient of the lines are the same. So we use the same gradient. Minus 4 s minus, what is s1? 2. 2. So this is simply y minus 3 is equals minus 4s plus minus 4 times minus 2, that is plus 8. Y plus 4s minus 3 minus 8 is equals 0. So y plus 4s minus 11 is equals 0. So this is the equation of line. Let's see. Y plus 4s minus 11 is equals 0. So this is the parallel line. Look at something. What if they had said perpendicular to the other line? If it were perpendicular, this is the only thing that will change. The gradient of the first line is minus 4. True or false? True. So you simply say m1 is equals minus 4. For perpendicularity, it is simply m1, m2 is equals minus 1. So since m1 is minus 4, m2 is equals minus 1. m2 is equals minus 1 over minus 4. This is equals 1 over 4. So the gradient would have been 1 over 4. Here, instead of minus 4, you simply put 1 over 4. You get your equation of line that is perpendicular. That is the only difference. So hopefully we see perpendicular question. Find the midpoint of the line joining P minus 3, 5, and Q. These are the coordinates of the lines. So this is simply S1, Y1, S2, Y2. So it says find the midpoint. To look for the midpoint of lines, it is very, very easy. Midpoint is simply equals S1 plus S2 over 2, comma, Y1 plus Y2 over 2. This is the formula for midpoint. This will simply give you minus 3 plus 5 over 2, comma, Y1 is 5 plus Y2 is minus 3 over 2. This is simply 2 over 2, comma, 2 over 2. Is that 1 comma 1? Wow, that looks funny. So the midpoint is simply 1 comma 1 at s is equals minus 1. So if we find the y over the s, then we substitute minus 1 anywhere we see s. What we get is the answer. Look at this. When you are given something like this to differentiate, this is what you do without using any formula. This is the same thing as 1. True or true? True. If this is 1, do something like this. Use the power to multiply everything. So let's say step 1. Using the power to multiply everything, you have y is equals 3 times 1 minus 2s raised to the power of 3. Why did I say 1 here? Because this can be 5, it can be 10, it can be 2s, it can be anything. So in that case, that thing will remain here. Step 2. Subtract 1 from the power. This will be y is equals 3 times 1. This is already 3 times 1 is 3. 3 1 minus 2s, 3 minus 1. Subtract 1 from the power. Step 3. Differentiate inside the bracket and use it to multiply everything. So y is equals, differentiating here, when you differentiate 1, you get 0. When you differentiate minus 2s, you get minus 2. If you differentiate 2s, it is 2. So that means here is minus 2. Using it to multiply everything, it is minus 2 times 3, 1 minus 2s raised to the power of 2, 3 minus 1. So this is simply y is equals minus 2 times 3 is 6, 1 minus 2s raised to the power of 2. Since s is minus 1, y is simply equal to minus 6, 1 minus 2 minus 1 squared. So y is equals minus 6, 1 minus 2 times minus 1, that is 2. Yes, plus 2 squared. 1 plus 2 is 3. So y is equals minus 6, 3 squared. Y is equals minus 6 times 9. So that is the correct option, minus 6 times 9. And minus 6 times 9 should give you minus 54. So minus 54 is your answer. And this one says, find the sum of the first 20 terms of the series. Sum of the first 20 terms. Looking at the terms, 12 minus 4, 12 minus 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 16 minus 12, 4. So it has common difference, which is 4. 12 divided by 8 is not the same thing as 16 divided by 12. So it is obviously not a GP, it is an AP because of common differences. And for sum of an AP, it is simply Sn is equals n over 2, 2a plus n minus 1d. This is the formula for looking for sum of n term in AP. What is A? A is the first term. It is 8. What is the common difference? D is 4. 12 minus 8, 4. 16 minus 12 is 4. So that is the common difference, 4. And what is n? N is 20. Because we are looking for the sum of the first 20th term. This gives us sum of the 20th term is equals 20, the term we are looking for, over 2. A is 8. So 2 times 8. 8 rather. Plus n, 20 minus 1. D is 4. So this is 10. 8 times 2, that should give you 16 plus 19 times 4. If you solve that correctly, that should give you 920. Otherwise, call my attention to it. So option D is the correct option. It says find the gradient of the line passing through the points P11 and Q25. Gradient is simply y2 minus y1 over s2 minus s1. In this line, y2 is 5. So 5 minus 1 over 2 minus 1. This should give you 4 over 1. So that is 4. Simple as that. And the next question says, wow, I love this. Find the equation of straight line through 3y minus 5 is equals 0. Perpendicular. So in this case, we are talking about perpendicularity. So for perpendicularity, the product of the slope is equals minus 1. So this is how you go about questions like this. I will be so fast because I've already analyzed equation of line. So here, the one we solved earlier, y was equal something. To get something like this, y is equals ms plus c. So in this case, let's make y subject formula to have 3y is equals minus 4s plus 5. Y is equals minus 4 over 3s plus 5. Comparing to this guy, m is equals minus 4 over 3 and intercept c is equals 5. Now, this is the gradient of the first line. Since the lines are perpendicular, the m1 times m2 is minus 1. Here is m1. So for perpendicular line, m1, m2 is equals minus 1. minus 4 over 3, which is m1 times m2 is equals minus 1. So m2 is equals minus 1 times 3 over minus 4. That is minus 3 over 4, which is 3 over 4. So this is the gradient of the second line. And from the equation, y minus y1 is equals m s minus s1. Look at the second one. Look at the coordinates. This is s1, this is y1. So y minus y1, 3, is equals m is 3 over 4. 3 over 4. S minus s1, s minus 2. So this is y minus 3 is equals 3 over 4 s plus 2. And when you simplify that, you should be able to get 3s minus 4y plus 18 is equals 0. If you don't get that, let me know. Look at this. Find the distance between points. Okay. So I think with this, we'll finally say bye-bye to coordinate geometry. So these are the points. So this is the formula for distance in coordinate geometry. So distance, this is s1, y1, s2, y2. So the distance is equals s2 is 5 minus s1, 2 squared plus y2, 6 minus y1, 2 squared. So this will give you 3 squared plus 4 squared. So this will give you, let's say 9 plus 16. This will give you square root of 25. So that will give you 5. So the correct option is 5 units. And here it says, find the equation of line through the points minus 2, 1 and minus 1 over 2, 4. So this is the formula you use for this. Remember, y minus y1 is equals m s minus s1. So dividing both sides by s minus s1, you have y minus y1 is equals s minus s1 over s minus s1 is equals m. So this is the formula you use. What is m? M is gradient, and gradient is y2 minus y1 over s2 minus s1. So y minus y1 over s minus s1 is equals y2 minus y1 over s2 minus s1. In this case, you have s1, you have y1, you have s2, you have y2. If you simply substitute them, you'll be left with only y and s that are unknown. Then you cross multiply and solve to get y is equals 2s plus 5. The pie chart above shows the statistical distribution of 80 students in 5 subjects in an examination. Calculate how many students offer mathematics. From this question, we have total of 80 students. And how many subjects do we have? Total of 5 subjects. And looking at the pie chart, we see mathematics, economics, physics, chemistry, and English language. These are the 5 subjects. Mathematics, you see that they are represented by angle. Mathematics is 5x degrees. Economics is 16x minus 24 degrees. Physics is 5x degrees. Chemistry is 4s plus 12 degrees. And English is 16s plus 12 degrees. So these are the subjects: maths, economics, physics, chemistry, and English. What are we asked to do? Calculate how many students offer mathematics. Looking at mathematics, the angle mathematics represents is simply 5s degrees. And we have different angles. Take a look at something. The sum of angles in a circle is 360 degrees, meaning everything here, all the angles, should be equal to 360 degrees. What should be equals 360 degrees? The sum of the angles. Sum simply means addition, which implies that if we add everything here, we should get 360 degrees. Now, let us do that. Doing that, we simply have 5s degrees plus is opening up this bracket, so there will not be sign issue. But if this were to be minus, then you have to use minus to open the bracket to give you minus 16s plus 24. But since this is plus, we don't have any issue. So let's just open the bracket. Yes, minus 24 degrees plus 5s degrees plus 4s plus 12 plus 16s plus 12. This is equals 360 degrees, the sum of angles in a circle. And the sum of angles in a straight line is 180 degrees. Triangle, 180 degrees. So from here, we simply have 5s degrees collecting like terms plus 16s degrees plus 5s degrees plus 4s degrees plus 16s degrees. This will give you 36s degrees plus minus 24 plus 12 plus 12. This will simply be minus 24 plus 24. That should give you 0. So that sums up to 0 equals 360 degrees. Therefore, let's divide both sides by 36. Dividing both sides by 36, s will simply be equals 10, because 36 here, 36 divided by 360 divided by 36, it will give you 10, because here is 1 and here is 0. So s is equals 10. What is s? S is not our answer. S is for us to know the degree that mathematics represents. Therefore, instead of saying mathematics is 5 degrees, we simply say that mathematics is 5 times 10 degrees. And what is that? 50 degrees. Is that our answer? No. They said how many students offer mathematics, not how many degrees is mathematics. How many students? How do we find out the students who offer mathematics? Since we have total of 80 students, and out of these 80 students, 50 degrees offer mathematics. This implies that the number of students who offer mathematics is equals 50 degrees over 360, which is the total angle in the circle, times 80, which is the total number of students. That is your answer. So that should give you 12 students. If I am here now, if I look straight, this is the my eyesight. This is the horizontal, my normal eyesight. Now, if I see a beautiful girl, tall, beautiful girl, I'll have to look up. Let's say I'm looking for the ground level and the girl is walking. I'll have to look up to see her face. Wow, this girl is pretty. Now, looking up, my eye is now going up. And this is the girl. And this is the height of the girl. So I'm looking at the top. The angle which my eye makes with the bottom and the height of something, this place, is referred to as the angle of elevation. In that same process, looking at the girl, I mashed a stone, almost fell, and I decided to look down. There is a river. Wow, I am at the top of the mountain. I wanted to jump inside the river or maybe the valley. So I will look in shock. Wow, this place is very deep. So from this eye level, my eye comes down to normal, then goes down to look at the bottom of the river or the bottom of the hill or whatever I'm looking at, or on top of building to look at the base of the building. Doing that, my eye is now going down to look down. So this angle which my eyes make with the horizontal and down here is the angle of depression. So when you look down, the angle of your normal view and down is the angle of depression. Here is the angle of elevation. Don't let the English confuse you. Look at this question. The angle of elevation of the top of a tree from a point on the ground 6 centimeters away from the foot of the tree is 78 degrees. Now, what they are trying to say is that the angle of elevation is 78 degrees. So, meaning here is 78 degrees. And it says the angle of elevation of the top of the tree from a point on the ground, so 6 centimeters away, meaning the leg of the girl, the bottom, or here represent tree. The person was looking at the top of a tree. So the angle between this eye level and the base of the tree, the distance rather, is 6 centimeters. We are asked, find the height of the tree, meaning look for from here to here, let it be S. That is angle of elevation and angle of depression for you. And to solve questions under angle of elevation and depression, we simply apply trigonometry. So from here, we have adjacent, we have opposite, and we have an angle. We don't have the hypotenuse. So let's see. Sin theta, so toa. Sin theta is opposite over hypotenuse. We don't have hypotenuse, so we can't use sine. Cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. We don't have hypotenuse, so we can't use cos. Tan theta is opposite over adjacent. So we are looking for opposite, we have adjacent, and we have theta. So tan will be the best candidate. Therefore, tan theta, which is tan 78 degrees, is equals opposite S over 6. S is simply 6 tan 78 degrees. Since they are all in meter, it simply means this is 60 meters, not 60 centimeters. So the distance is simply 60 meters, not centimeter. So S is equals 60 times 78 degrees. So here is 60. That is the only correction. So that should simply give you 282 meters. So this is the correct answer. If S is equals bracket 40 plus 3, then another bracket t minus 2. Find the S dt when t is equals 5 seconds. What does it imply? It simply means differentiate this guy, then anywhere you see t, put 5. That is simply it. So S is equals 4t plus 3 t minus 2. The S over dt simply means differentiate S with respect to t. To do this, let us open up the bracket. This will make the differentiation easier. Now, 4t times t, that is 4t squared. 4t times minus 2, that is minus 8t. Plus 3 times t, that is plus 3t. Plus 3 times minus 2, that is minus 6. So simplifying this, we have 4t squared minus 5t minus 6. Why? Minus 8t plus 3t is minus 5t. You are owing 8. You have 3. After paying the 3, you will still be owing. And how many are you owing? 5. So that is how we arrive at this. So differentiating this will be so easy for us. When you differentiate 4t squared, you simply have 8t raised to the power of 1. Because this times this, then you subtract 1 from the power. When you differentiate minus 5t, you have minus 5. When you differentiate this, you have 0. Therefore, 8t minus 5 is ds over dt. This question is not asking us for ds over dt. It says solve for this when t is 5. So if t is 5, instead of t, replace it with 5 to have 8 times 5 minus 5. That is what it is about, and that should give you 35. So option D is the correct option. And let's see the next question. An unbiased die is rolled 100 times and the outcome is tabulated as follows. What is the probability of obtaining 5? Probability is simply possibility. If I give you this, and this, and I say, what is the probability of obtaining this? It is simply this over this, this, and this, meaning this one over all the outcomes, which implies that the probability of obtaining a 5 is the number of times 5 occur over the total number of occurrence. Looking at the table, the frequency of 5 is 20. This implies that 5 appeared 20 times. And what is the total frequency? It is 100. It says rolled 100 times. And the occurrences are 13, 15, 22, 14, 20, and 16, which sums up to 100. So therefore, the possibility of obtaining 5 is 20, which is the frequency of 5, over 100, which is the total occurrence. And this will give you 1 over 5 also. And option C is the correct option. Tolu has a sum of 300 naira and Folu has a sum of 1,860 naira. So let's say Tolu is equals Folu now. If Tolu saves 50 naira a day, which means every day Tolu gets addition of 50 naira. Therefore, here will be 300 plus 50 naira daily. And Folu spend 70 naira a day. So this guy adds 50 naira to his amount daily. This one removes 70 naira daily. We are trying to interpret the words, changing words to equations or to expressions. After how many days will they have equal amounts? Now, this one says 50 naira daily, which means in 2 days, this one will save 50 times 2. In 3 days, it will save 50 times 3. So in a particular day, which you don't know, it will simply save 50 times n, which is 50n. So for an unknown date, this guy will save 50n. Therefore, for Tolu, it is simply 300 plus 50n. And if this guy uses 70 or spends 70 naira daily, in 1 day, he will spend 70. In 2 days, he will spend 70 times 2. In 3 days, 70 times 3. In a particular day, which you don't know, he will simply spend 70 times n. And n is simply the number of days. So here will simply be Folu will simply be 1860 minus 70n. What is this question requesting? After how many days will they have equal amount? Which means after how many days will this be equals this? What they are trying to say is find n, the number of days. So for this to be equals this, we simply have that 300 plus 50n is equals 1860 minus 70n. This is the equation. So collecting like terms, we simply have 50n plus 70n is equals 1860 minus 300. This will be 70, 120n is equals, this is 500 will be left here, so 1560. That is what will be remaining there. To get n, we divide both sides by 120. So n will give you 13. So after 13 days, this will simply be equals this. You can actually confirm that put 13 here, put 13 here, and solve this, you get the same answer. So that is the answer to this question. And the next one says, find the value of s in the figure above. This figure is simply a triangle. It has 3 sides and 3 angles. Now we are looking for the value of s. In this triangle, we are given just one side and we are asked to look for the other side. It is not a right-angled triangle. What is right-angled triangle? Right-angled triangle is simply a triangle in which one of the sides is 90 degrees. Since it is not a right angle triangle, you cannot apply Pythagoras theorem. Take note, Pythagoras theorem only works for a right angled triangle. The angle where you see something like this, one of the angle is 90 degrees. So this is not a right angled triangle. And if you are given a non-right angled triangle, you simply apply what we refer to as sine rule, or you can use cosine rule. Sine rule simply says that given a triangle, A over sine A is equals B over sine B is equals C over sine C, or sine A over A is equals sine B over B is equals sine C over C. Anyhow you look at it, it is the same. Now let us label the triangle. Let's call A, let's call here B, and let's call here C. If here is A, it means the angle here is not given and the side is not given, which means we cannot use the A part. If here is B, we are given the angle of B 45 degrees and we are given the side that represents B. So you can even call here small b, call here small a, call here small c, anyhow you look at it. So let's call here A, B, C. A, B, C. Lower small letters to represent that they are just sides. Having this, sine B over B is sine 45 degrees over S is equals sine C. C is 60 degrees and the side is 15 cm square, or 15 centimeter rather. So sine 60 degrees is equals 15. You can actually add A to have sine A over A equals, this is equals this and this is equals this. So this and this are enough to get S. How? Cross multiplying S sine 60 degrees is equals 15 times sine 45 degrees. S is equals 15 times sine 45 degrees all over sine 60 degrees. So that is the answer. Breaking that down, you simply get 5 root 6. That is the correct option, option A. And the next question says, solve for S and Y in the equations below. Right now, we are in simultaneous equation. In this simultaneous equation, it is not your regular simultaneous equation. Why? We have a square. S squared minus Y squared is equals 4. S plus Y is equals 2. How do you solve simultaneous equations like this? First, label the equation. Call this equation 1 and call this equation 2. In this type of simultaneous equation, you must use a substitution method. When you are given simultaneous equation, one is quadratic, like that's a degree of 2, and the other is linear. Simply use substitution method. Now, relax. Let me guide you through substitution method of solving simultaneous equation. From equation 2, which is the one that is linear, when I say linear, I mean the power is 1. That's what I mean by linear. So this one has power of 2. Choose any of the variable to make subject formula. Should we make S or Y? We can use any one. In this case, let's make S subject formula. This will simply give you S is equals 2 minus Y. This is equation 3. Why is it called substitution method? Because anywhere you see 2 minus Y, it is S. Anywhere you see S, it is 2 minus Y. So substitute this in equation 1 to simply have, instead of S squared, S is now 2 minus Y. So 2 minus Y squared. So everything here is S. The square remains. Minus Y squared is equals 4. Why did we do this? Now we have Y and we have Y. So it will be easier for us. Do not forget that this is the same thing as 2 minus Y and 2 minus y, then minus y squared is equals 4. Because 2 minus y squared is the same thing as 2 minus y times 2 minus y. Now let us open up the bracket. Opening up this guy, we simply have 2 times 2, 4, minus 2 times minus y, minus 2y, minus 2y, plus y squared minus y squared is equals 4. So opening up the bracket, we have this guy. 4 minus 2y minus 2y is minus 4y, plus y squared minus y squared is equals 4. Y squared minus y squared is 0. So this cancels. Life has been easy for us. Look at something else, something strange happening. We'll be left with 4 minus y is equals 4. 4 minus 4y rather. Collecting like terms, 4 minus 4 is equals 4y. This is minus 4y. It goes here to become plus 4y. This is 4. It comes here to become minus 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So 0 is equals 4y. Dividing both sides by 4, y is equals 0. So from what we saw, y is 0. How do we get s? From equation 3, we are told that s is equals 2 minus y. If s is 2 minus y, s is simply 2 minus 0 because y is 0. So therefore s is equals 2. So the solution to the equations are s is equals 2, y is equals 0. S is equals 2, y is equals 0. That is option C. Now let's look at the next question. If A varies inversely as B and A is equals 5 when B is equals 3, find the value of A when B is equals 9. Looking at this, we already know that this is a variation question and it is inverse variation. If I say A varies directly as B, it simply means A. It is the same thing as proportionality. I can also say A is directly proportional to B. If I say A is inversely proportional to B, it simply means A is 1 over B. So this is direct, this is inverse. If I say A is directly proportional to the product of B and C, it simply means A is directly proportional to B, C. If I say A is directly proportional to B and inversely proportional to C, it simply means A is directly proportional to B straight and inversely proportional to C. So anyhow variation question comes, you should be able to know how to write them out. Joins. Look at something. In mathematics, we don't solve with proportionality sign or variation sign. We convert them to equality sign. So to change this to equality sign, it is simply equals k. That is how to change this to this. You introduce equality sign and there will be a constant. So your constant can be anything. You can call it k, a, b, whatever to show that it is constant. But k is popular, so we use k to represent our constant. From here, this is something as a is equals kb. Equals k is proportional. From here, a is equals k 1 over b, which is a is equals k over b. Here, a is equals kbc. Here, a is equals kb over c. Look at our question here. It says a varies inversely as b, so which implies that a is 1 over b, a is equals k over b. It says and a is equals 15 when b is equals 3. So a is equals 15, b is equals 3. Find the value of a when b is equals 9. So a is now a question, b is equals 9. Let us observe something. They are inversely proportional. The first one says a is 15, b is 3. We are looking for a when b is equals 9. The first thing we do in this case is to find the constant, because from this first Dates are given to us. We have A, we have B. Let's look for constant because constant doesn't change. In that case, A is equals K over B. K is simply equals A times B. Cross multiplying. K is simply equals 15 times 3. K is equals 3 times 5, 15. Put down 5, carry 1. 3 times 1, 3 plus 1, 4. So can we say that K is equals 45? Yes, K is equal to 45. Now if K is 45, from here we know that A is equals K over B. We are looking for A. A will simply be K, which is constant, 45 over B is 9. Because they say when B is equals 9. So this will give you 5, I guess. So 5 is the correct answer. This brings us to the end of the class. I am Flash Isaac. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. Check out my other videos. You will find them very, very helpful. Don't fail to tell your friends about this. Enjoy. That is it.